Hey, what is up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel, Just Simply Sports here with me. I am Kaja. If you're new to my channel, I welcome you. Please hit the like and subscribe button. You guys, we got to get into it, NFL, because this free agency is really throwing me, and I mean throwing me for an entire loop, because Russell Wilson had a good season by all accounts. Now, I know it wasn't Lamar or, Josh Allen, kind of caliber season, but it was still a good season nonetheless. They started off pretty hot, and Russ took over, 6 games into the season. It didn't end so well, but I'm looking around to my right, to my left, on my Instagram, TikTok, television, and I'm just like, everybody's getting signed, and it just seems like I'm wondering at this point, was there something else that happened off of the football field that we are unaware of? Because I'm like, okay, in the beginning of the season, Justin Fields obviously went 4-2, but he wasn't really throwing the ball, right? The offense was very, very stagnant. I know they said that, Arthur Smith preferred Justin Fields because it's more of an athletic, kind of QB as opposed to Russ, given the age. And, overall, he's just more athletic right now. It is what it is. But the offense was stagnant. They were just kicking field goals. So as a OC, you can't really tell me or convince me as a fan that you were happy with just kicking field goals. I mean, if that's what you were brought in to do, to scheme a plan so that we can kick field goals, then you shouldn't be the right person for this job. But nonetheless, they went 4-2. And, they went to Russ. And once Russ took over, the offense really kind of skyrocketed. Like they started scoring points. Like they actually had offense. You got to see George Pickens. You got to see Najee Harris involved, and a few others as well. And I'm just looking, I'm like, how is it that Justin Fields, who scored field goals, by the way, I'm not saying he's not talented, but given his history, from the Bears and then the Steelers, it's like what he has on tape, you see more potential than actual promise. I guess depending on who you're looking at. Yet and still, he's a New York Jet and he has a guaranteed contract, 30 million, right? Guaranteed 30 million. This is based on how he looked from Chicago and then to Pittsburgh. Okay, fast forward. They also wanted Sam Darnold, the Steelers. Now, Sam Darnold is different because he had a great year. They kind of, I call Kevin the quarterback whisperer, because whatever he does, if you want to have your QB career revived by all accounts, you need to go to Minnesota and deal with them, because Kevin, he finds a way to get those quarterbacks who we thought weren't good. It actually seems that they are playing good. Now they wanted Sam Darnold, and again, I'm thinking about Arthur Smith and what they're saying, how he likes to, have a run, run first kind of offense. I'm like, Sam Darnold wasn't the most mobile quarterback. He's about as mobile as Russ. Okay, now he had a great season, but look at what he had around him. He had Justin Jefferson, there's Addison. They had a top two offense for pretty much half of the season. The defense also was not giving up anything at all, So I'm like, what is really going on behind these closed doors? Because something's not making sense to me. So you wanted Sam Darnold. He chose to go to the Seahawks. Okay. Justin Fields, he says, nah, after you bench me, I'm not coming back. He's a Jet. And then now you're going with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, you guys. And I'm saying that over and over because I'm really trying to make it make sense for myself. Aaron Rodgers won 5 games. 5. And when remind you, if you go back to last season, right, when the Jets played the Steelers, that was Russ's first game. They won that game 37-15. Russ threw for 2 touchdowns, and he also ran for a touchdown. Aaron Rodgers, he had 2 interceptions in that game. Aaron Rodgers had a lot of interceptions last season. I don't know what's going on with him, but nevertheless, I'm like, they won 5 games. Aaron Rodgers had Sauce Gardner. He had I'm gonna say Miles Garrett, you guys. Garrett Wilson. I'm like getting the Garretts mixed up. You brought in Devontae Adams after a while. You had the OC that you wanted. You got the coach fired. They brought somebody else in. There were a lot of things that were put into play. And mind you, when Aaron Rodgers first came to the Jets, all I kept hearing was Zach Wilson was awful. He was trash. He was this, and that isn't the quarterback. The Jets need a quarterback. If the Jets just have their defense and they have a great quarterback, then this team, the sky is the limit. So here comes Aaron Rodgers in all his glory, on a white horse, so to speak, coming in to galvanize the troops and lead the way. And they did even worse than they did with Zach Wilson. So I'm really sitting here like, well, dang, what is really going on? Did something happen behind closed doors with Russ and with Mike Tomlin? Did Russ seem to have an issue with some teammates in the locker room? Was that the issue? Because Russell is a class act. He's never going to come out and say anything bad about anybody. He's always going to, smile. Broncos country, let's ride. You know what I mean? Like, he's always gonna say the right things. He's gonna, be a class act, a man of integrity. One of the things I love about Russ, I always say, Russ, we trust. If you've been here, you know that, and I mean it. But you guys, even so, right, just thinking about these games, right, when Justin Fields, and I have it written down because I don't want to be missing nothing up, especially when it comes to stats. So, right, Justin Fields, right? You look at what the team was in the beginning of the season, right? And how many points the defense was giving up. In the beginning, it was 10 points, then more than 6 points, another 10 points. The Cowboys was tricky because they lost that game, 20 points, but it's the Cowboys. I get it. They are a little bit decent. Micah Parsons, Dak, is better than Justin Fields. The Raiders, number 1, 13 points, right? And then if you look at some of the games when Russ took over and look at the difference in the amount of points they were actually scoring, because the Steelers were scoring like less than 20 points, less than 17 points. And mind you, most of it was just field goals. Like, for whatever reason, Justin was not able to to score actual touchdown. The best he could do were the field goals. I mean, hey, if they broke, don't fix it. I guess they still won the games. But I'm looking at Russell Wilson, I'm big on Russ, you guys, because Joe Burrow is one hell of a quarterback, especially when it comes to that arm. I think he's one of the few quarterbacks that we still have in this league that you have to still worry about. He may not be a dual threat, but as long as he is throwing that ball and he has Chase or T. Higgins, especially Chase to throw it to, they are a threat. If that defense can get going, man, I mean, Justin Fields, if you look at Joe Burrow, he was putting up over 35 points easy a game to even give his team a chance. And then you had Russell come in and they beat them 44 to 38. There is no way that I feel like Justin Fields is going to give them that kind of fighting chance against a team like that. Look, every team is different. Every season is different. Now, I know Aaron Rodgers was obviously great back in the day. I'm not knocking who he was or his resume, all his accolades and things that he's accomplished, because he accomplished them. So I'm not going to disrespect or take it away. But looking at where he is right now, he does not look the same at all. And I'm just like, how is it that you have pretty much offered everybody a contract except for Russell Wilson? And I'm like, his play, down the stretch, I got you. I get it. He didn't play as well, but down the stretch, no, George Pickens was hurt. He was a little bit temperamental with his attitudes. He wasn't really hustling the way he should when Russ was throwing him those deep balls. The defense was giving up. They were on average, they were giving almost 30 points. That's a huge difference what they gave, like in the beginning of the season when Justin Fields was playing. So there was a lot that went into them losing towards it, and not to mention, they were playing, they had a very, very hard schedule towards the end. You're playing, Lamar Jackson again. They beat them the first time, but, they had lost some games. So they're trying to fight, for their playoff seed and things of that nature. So teams, a lot of times how teams start in the beginning is not how they always end. And I'm looking at all these different things. I'm just like, if it was only Russell that caused them to lose, I'm like, okay, I love Russ, but I understand. But it wasn't just Russ, I think if you would have had someone who was more of a dual threat, it could have overcome, the defense, and their lack of defending towards the end of the season. But by all accounts for me, I'm like, Russell Wilson had a great season. I'm looking at, the stats and looking at some of the footage, and I'm just like, what in the entire heck is happening in Pittsburgh? You're waiting on Aaron Rodgers. He comes in last week to visit. They have this 6-hour visit. You're supposed to go to Michigan's Pro Day. You don't go to Michigan's Pro Day because you want to meet with Aaron Rodgers. Like, you know who he is by now. Like, you played him last season and you beat him. So again, if Aaron Rodgers looked like he did back in the day, then I'm like, okay, you know what? I understand. He's the better quarterback. Maybe in some ways, him and Russell are not that far off, because towards the end of the season, Rodgers did have, his by stats, just go by stats. But there's so much that comes with Aaron Rodgers. It seems to be confusion. It seems to be selfishness, arrogance, all these different things. And he's won one ring just like Russ has. He's been one Super Bowl. Russ has been a two, only won one. So I'm looking. I know he's back to back MVPs, whatever have you. I get that. That's not what Russ has accomplished in terms of that part. But y'all got to make sense of it for me, because I'm looking and I'm just like, what is going on in Pittsburgh? For me, I said this before, Mike Tomlin, I think at this point, something has to give, because you cannot keep saying, well, it's been 18 seasons, we never had a losing season. At some point, I'm assuming as an owner, as an organization, you want to get at least past, the first round, the playoffs. You don't want to just keep getting there and then losing. Now, whatever they were doing, which is still a defense, has been their identity, has been working for them. Now they brought in other pieces. Now you have UK Metcalf, you got George Pickens, Darius Slay. So there has been some nice additions, nice pieces added. Maybe we'll get some more in the draft. Who knows? Or, we'll see what happens with that, because free agency is still going on. But for Russell Wilson to still be without a team, to me, when he seems like a really, really high character, integral guy, and I'm looking around at who's left, like Jameis Winston just got signed, the Giants. I know that the Giants do have interest in Russ. They had interest in him last season, but he chose the Steelers. And then now he went there again this season, met with the Browns. And I'm just like, maybe it's money. And I said it can't be money, because there's no way that Aaron Rodgers is going to take less money than Russell Wilson. To me, they have to both be asking for around the same amount, given what they've accomplished in their resume. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to sign any deal that's going to be less than $20 million. I don't see that. The same with Russell Wilson, So something just does not make sense to me, you guys. But what do you think about Russell, about Pittsburgh? I think it is a huge mistake for Mike Tomlin and them to sit around and wait on Aaron Rodgers, because what it says before the season even begins is that we are on your time. And once again, it kind of gives the vibe of, I can do what I want. Why? You won 5 games last season. You're turning 41, 42. Like, this is not Aaron Rodgers back in 2010, 2012. You know what I mean? So I don't think, look, I'm not a GM, I'm not a football coach, but to me, it is sending the wrong message already. People started working now, and if you're trying to establish certain culture or keep that culture going, you don't need anybody in the locker room who's going to be a detriment or a disturbance to what you have and what you're trying to build or continue to build on. That's just my humble opinion, you guys. But what do you think about this whole situation? If you got some more insight or you heard something someplace, let me know, because it is not making sense to me at all. The treatment that Russell has been getting is just beyond me, really and truly, based on his level of play and his character off the field as well. Let me know what you guys think about this. And of course, I will see you in the next video. Hopefully, Russell will have signed a contract by then.